Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a little update about the XCOM Let's Play. I did a bit of recording for it yesterday, and I got about half an hour in a mission, and then I rage quit. I legitimately rage quit, which I haven't actually done in a while, I don't think. Normally I just get really angry and keep going. Which is probably not the best for the commentary and the entertainment of the video. But I was playing, and it was a mission with a triad, a person, and he was he was gonna give us something. And so I was playing through that, so I'm kind of up against a wall, and a thin man drops down, bottom right corner, right behind me. And there's no way of getting to a cover to get him without flanking myself, getting myself flanked by the people coming from the front. So I'm kind of just standing there, kind of shooting. So that's kind of raising questions of how that's legitimate and fair from this. It's a game. A game should be fair, but also be consistent, because once again, the AI decided to shoot the VIP, this triad guy. And shooting him, he had to shoot past two soldiers, Thin Man, who were shooting at this guy. At the two soldiers shooting at a Thin Man. The Thin Man decided to ignore the two guys shooting at him, to shoot at a guy who didn't have a gun, apart from the fact he did have a gun but threw it away for some reason. That's just stupid. Why would you throw a gun away when you're confident you're going to be attacked? That's just daft. So, like, that makes no sense. Even from an in-world perspective, that makes no sense. Well, no. Right, so from an out-world perspective, I guess it's easier to hit civilians because they're not in armor. But it makes no sense in-world to shoot him, because I was still very much at the beginning of that on that mission. I could actually put a clip of it up, but I don't care. Let's have frustrating and fun XCOM. I could maybe put it up to show where I was. So it wasn't like, oh, the VIP's going to escape, and they're going to escape with whatever the item was that he was offering. It was very much at the beginning. You might be able to capture him, get some, and then as the aliens torture him, get some information, whatever. And I think I've been thinking about it, and it seems to me that the AI for the aliens is trying to stop XCOM completing its objectives, when XCOM's key objective is to prevent the aliens achieving their objectives. Which, and so that kind of combination doesn't make sense. Like, even in this one section, the alien objective is to stop the VIP escaping. That's a tactical thing. But the issue with that is that the issue with that kind of tactical thing is you're still going to need to take out some of these guys. And like, you've got people jumping down in random corners and flanking the XCOM squad immediately. That's not... And I know I'm kind of complaining about kind of two different things, but that's not... This is just me turning into a complaint. I should actually get to the update. So there's no XCOM today. And I'll probably continue ranting in a moment, but I'll get the update out. I don't know what's going to happen next week. I might take another break, or I might replace this with something else. I've been thinking about doing No Pineapple Left Behind. I've been thinking about doing that for a while. So I might replace XCOM with that, and then maybe possibly come back to XCOM at some point in the future, possibly. I don't know. Right, back to complaining. It's my issue with this, and it's an issue with Hearts of Iron 4, actually, is the idea's really good, but the implementation, the way the AI works, isn't good because it isn't logical and consistent in the world. I played Hearts of Iron 4 once, where I was Japan, and I went after the Soviet Union, start that war, the war between Germany and the Soviet Union sooner. And then Germany decided that to help it get to Moscow and attack the Soviet Union, it had to go through the Ardennes to go around the Maginot Line. And so it declared war on Belgium, which then called in the Allies. And it makes no sense, because it's following this very kind of rigid pathway that doesn't fit. And it seems like XCOM's very much the same system, or the same way of doing things, in that the AI has has a logical algorithm of do this, do this, do this, do this. But the algorithm, or the way it's choosing and making those decisions, doesn't fit the logic, the world that it's in. It fits the game it's in. And to me, that's the point of these strategy games, is not to win the game, it's to see how I would do in this kind of, well, in this simulation, how I'd do. Admittedly, XCOM simulation, probably not the best word to use, considering there wasn't an alien invasion in 2016. I mean, not that I was aware of. Considering the way politics has gone, I don't know. But, I don't know. And I just had a thought, there's no way of having a Jutland. There's no way of having a Jutland in this invasion. Jutland, the Battle of Jutland was very much a tactical victory for Germany, but it completely wiped out their forces, their navy. So it was very much a strategic victory for the British. Now, there's no way to do that unless... There's no way to tactically lose, but strategically get a massive leg up like that. There's no way of getting that in XCOM. And the more I'm playing it, the more I'm kind of thinking, this is just... Maybe it's because I'm playing with Long War, but there's no... I don't know. I preferred the kind of update and had an idea of what I was going to say, and then I just started ranting. There are times when I really enjoy XCOM, and there are times when I feel that XCOM is being unfair. And I think I remember quoting, they did some, I think, focus group type thing for Sid Meier's Civilization when they were planning it and coming up with everything. And I'm aware of this, and I think it affects me, it does. Is when you see a percentage, you inflate it in your head, basically. So, if you have something like an 80-90%. So when people saw an 80-90% chance of victory, or certainly over a 90% chance of victory, during the combat in one of the civilizations, and they lost, players got very, very upset, because 90% should... Oh, I should win that. But what about that 10%? Conversely, but they weren't bothered when it was a 20% chance they'd win, and they won quite a bit. So there's that dissonance of how odds work and being heroic and yay. And I think, and maybe I think that's affecting it with the to hit things. I don't know. I think the more I've been playing XCOM, and the more I'm playing Hearts of Iron 4, the more I'm thinking, this would work much better as a board game or as a multiplayer kind of situation. I think Squee was doing something with Mickey Renraw, where I'm about to sneeze. And what they'd be doing was they would use, I think, the console to... I'm about to sneeze again. But they'd use the console to give Squee, or I think it was Squee, or one of them would control the aliens. One of them would control the XCOM soldiers, and my nose, yeah, and so you'd have that the aliens on a tactical level would be making these attacks, and on a tactical level could was very much controlled and would be focused on their own objectives. I think I'd like to see that extended to the strategic level. So on the strategic level, you have an alien player. So the alien player is making these decisions. I'm going to send an abduction here. I'm going to send a group over here. I'm going to send my UFO scouting out around here. And then you also kind of limit those alien resources as well. Which is kind of the frustration I'm having with the kind of, it seems weird in XCOM that they'll have like 12 thin men in an area and they'll have 6 of these squiddy things, and yet that doesn't having that doesn't impact having those aliens doesn't impact, or losing those aliens doesn't impact the aliens in the future. And I get that's because they're basically the monsters and, infinite respawn and whatever. But it more and more it's like that doesn't give me a feel of an invasion group. And there's no other forces that are fighting these guys in any way successfully. Not even pushing them to their limits and doing some damage. We're just that's it. So yeah, if you have sat through this kind of rant and complaint, and probably this, I could just grab this if I get to the credits for XCOM and just dump it there. If you've got through this kind of mini inverted commas complaint about an update about XCOM, let's go back to the actual update. So no XCOM today. Don't know what's happening next week. Maybe some XCOM. Maybe depending how I feel. Or I might just go to No Pineapple Left Behind, which is kind of a game I've been thinking about for a while because it's about the education system, and I kind of like the idea of venting about the education system and poking fun at it. Why not? So I might do that. I might do XCOM, or I might leave it again next week. Especially with the fact that I've got a bit of a cold. But that shouldn't be too bad next week. One would hope. If you made it this far, thank you for watching. And I hope that, yes. I don't know. Let's just wrap it up. Thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks for watching.